Hey guys, so for this week's Show and Tell Tuesday, I'm going to go over Disney pen trading. What I got this week when I went yesterday, my permanent collection, those that I have up for trade, and explaining how it all works, how to look for fakes, and more.
So these are the pens that I got the other day. There's about 50 trades in all. Now, when you're going to go pen trading, you can do 2 trades per cast member, and you can do 2 trades at the trade-in stations. There's usually 1 per park. Now, you can only do this once per day as well. So if you have a big group or you're a couple, then you can get a lot of pens in one day. But if you're one person, you're limited to each cast member only 1 time, 2 trades. So you want to be sure to pick what you want the first time through. This is my big bag here. They're made specifically for collecting pins. You can usually buy them at the Disneyland parks or online. Here I'm showing just a quick overview of what I have in there. I generally keep the pens that I'm willing to trade in here first. But here you can open up the flap, and that's how you stick them all in. I'll just pull one off here. It's pretty easy. It keeps them all safe. And there's a protective layer between the pins on each page flap. It's really more of a book. A lot of people take these when they're going to Disneyland parks to actually trade with people. I know at Disneyland Paris there's a big group that comes almost every weekend and sets up and shows off what they have for trade and hopes to trade with people who are just walking by who do this all the time and those that are just trying it for the first time. So here I'll just pull out some that I have in the back. These are some that I got on the clearance again that just happened here in Paris. These are some of the Disneyland for Star Wars pens that came out. Those were some of the first I ever bought. That's a special Tron pen that I actually bought, I didn't trade for. Some other Star Wars ones. Those are limited edition. And they're limited so that you could trade them, like I said, on the special boards that I'll explain later. And then this is my prize, is the gargoyle pen, because I'm a big fan of the Gargoyles series. This is the jumbo pen that I have. It's one of my favorites, part of a museum edition. So you can see the Mickey man there moving his limbs. So when looking for fake pens, you want to see here on the stitch, which is a fake, there's a dent in the paint up here in the right corner. See it in the light there, and there are scratches against the top. So that's the first clue that this pen is probably fake. On the back, the wording doesn't really make a lot of sense, but always go to Pin Picks and look it up. 99% of the time, hidden Mickeys are fake, so I generally don't go for them. I just didn't even realize this was one when I traded for it. But on the other hand, here, this one is real. I hardly ever go for them, but lately they've been real at Disneyland Paris. And you can see the design on the back goes all the way to the corners to each side. That's a big clue that it's real. And it's got a nice shiny surface on the top. This one I traded for recently, but it's actually illegal because it doesn't have the Disney pen trading logo on the back. You can't trade those in the parks, so beware. But outside the parks, of course, you can trade however you like. This one is a limited edition pen, so it's a limited release and it has a specific number here on the back. And of course, it still has the logo as well, that it's official, which even fakes say that they're official, so that's not exactly an indicator. You really need to look things up if you're not sure on a pen if it's real or not, but you can get fakes at the parks just as much as reals. This is a Mushu pin of the cast lanyard series that you get at Disneyland Paris. Those are ones I collect.
Started in pen trading, the first thing you're going to have to do is to either order online or when you get to the parks is to buy a lanyard. Now, I have 3. You don't need 3. You only need 1 per person. So the first one I bought was this Disney Star Wars one. So every time I go, I have it on, which also can be confusing to some people because they think that you work there. So you might get that sometimes and explain that no, you don't actually work there. So then you fill it up with pens. So I've got a few on here now. So I would take pens that I don't really care about. That's how you should really think about it. When you're first going, you can either buy pens online, but beware, there are a lot that are fakes. If the price is too good to be true, then they're probably fakes. If they're anywhere around $1 or less, they're probably fakes, so beware. Or you can buy them in packs, like I'll show. You can get a lot of these Vinyl Nation, which is a brand here that has a specific shape like Mickey. You can usually get those pretty cheap, and you can trade those for any other pins in the park. So the first pin buying you do, it shouldn't really be for pins that you care a lot about, or at least that you only want to keep maybe one of the whole pack, because the whole point is to trade them away. So you'll be filled up with pins you don't really care about, and maybe a few that you do. And then you start going to the cast members. And the cast members are anybody who works there that has a lanyard. So that can even be cleaning people, that can be the people at the checkouts, that can be the people at the actual trading stations. So at the trading stations, they'll have a huge corkboard, and they'll usually have them separated, at least at Disneyland Paris. They'll have them separated into regular pins, Vinyl Nation pins, limited pins, Pin Mickey pins, and so forth. And usually you can only trade one for one. So take for example the cast lanyard pins that I got. I could only trade those against other cast lanyard pins on the board. So beware when you're going to the board that you can only get a limited pin if you have a limited pin, and so forth. But for the actual people who work there, it doesn't have to be one for one. So I could trade a regular old pin for the cast lanyard pins and so forth. There's no rules against that. But they don't actually have the limited pins. They might have limited edition pins, but not limited in quantity. Like the one I got yesterday, I had gotten this off the board. So it actually says limited edition of 300. So if it doesn't say of a certain number, you can't trade them. It might just be a limited release, but it's not the same thing, so beware. So you'll go around filled up with pins that you don't really want, and finding pins that you do. So it can either be pins that you're actually going to be searching for, like for me, I'm on the lookout for all pins that are Tron, Atlantis, Disney Afternoon, and cast lanyard pins. And then apart from that, then I start looking for pins that I just think are pretty, pins I want to keep in my personal collection, or pins that I think will get something on Pin Picks. So I'll put a link in the description for Pin Picks. What it is it's a site online where you can trade with other pin traders out of being at Disney. So you'll put up your collection, you'll put what you're willing to trade, what you want, and then it will do and find the other people who want those pins. So you'll be matched up. And they can say no, of course. Sometimes you'll do multi-trades, which would be lots of pins all at once. So you'll just suss that out when you get started. So, for at the parks, you can trade with any of the cast members for any of their pins, and on the board, as I said, at least at Disneyland Paris, you're specific to certain kinds of pins you can trade. And if the pin is already on the board, you can't trade it up there again. So if they already had one of a specific pin I have, I can't just put that on the board for something else. They need a constant rotation of pins. So you have your lanyard. Sometimes there'll be a little thing here that you can put your cards in. I don't put anything other than my passport card here, which lets me go in as many times as I want for however long I bought it, usually a year, but we got a deal where it was 18 months for the same price as a year, so that was pretty cool. I do check it every so often to make sure it's there. It's probably not the safest. I should probably just put it in my wallet, but it gets you a discount at the parks whenever you buy something, even on food. So it is interesting if you think you'll go there for a certain amount of times during the year. Then there's these ones, these lanyards that have a large medallion at the bottom, so it's like a huge pin. It's pretty cool. I got this on the clearances that they were doing most recently here in Paris, so I got it for 7 euros. Then there's the other, which are larger. This is the one my husband wears when he goes. It is for Pirates of the Caribbean for a special pin hunt event that was on April 23rd, 2010. And it's got a huge medallion down here as well, and it's a limited edition, so it's number 144 of 1500. So that's a collector's item too, but it's the only manly one I have, so anyway, I can use it. So I'll put the links below for all the places you can buy pins ahead of time if you're planning to go to Disney and want to get everything ready before you go. But you can also just do it all once you're there. You go to the first shops you find, and they should have all of the stuff there. Most of the shops just have the same stuff in every store, so shouldn't be an issue if you don't already have everything before you go. If you're coming from another country and going to a different one, definitely bring pins, because those pins don't necessarily get to the other countries aside from pin traders. Not every pin is available at every park. So there's a lot that I have that are Disneyland Paris ones, which people can only get if they've been here or they trade with somebody who has those pins. So keep that in mind, is that what a pin doesn't seem important to you, it could be important to somebody else. So if you're really trying to work on a collection, try to get a well balance of pins that you can uptrade for. And eventually you might get what you're looking for. But you can also just go and buy them, which sometimes is an option, but it's fun to do the pin trading. So if you have any questions, put them below, and all the regular links are there. Clean and dry.